My name is Caleb Norris, and I'm from Traverse City. I'm third generation native to the area, and I got my start in construction in the area, working for a local builder and designing their homes as well as swinging a hammer building those homes. I started Norris Design Productions in 2008 during the height of the recession, which was a horrible idea, but I was very young and didn't know any better, and I was married with 2 children to feed, so it was kind of out of necessity. I was already designing homes for a local builder, and so I thought I knew what I was doing. I'd been doing that for about 7 years, and I thought, well, work is getting scarce, things are slowing down, and I decided I would go out on my own. When I did go out on my own, finally, I had no idea how bad it was going to get. Had to work a couple of jobs, but I thought a lot about giving up, but I stuck with it, and perseverance paid off, and here I am. It's been about 15 years since then, and I have employees and office, and built the business up pretty much from about as nothing as you can start a business. That's how I started my business. When I started in 2008, we had just bought our first home too. So it was, our first time having debt and then starting a business. And it was scary working out of our basement and not knowing where our next paycheck was coming from. But ultimately, I'm really glad I stuck with it. It's been a really rewarding process. I've always really enjoyed design and residential design, architecture in general. For me, architecture is just a wonderful blend of art and science. It's art with a purpose is how I like to think of it. Art with a function is architecture. And I've always enjoyed doing 3D puzzles. I always had a knack for visualizing things in 3D and just enjoyed doing that stuff. Just genuinely just would lose myself in a, brain teaser for hours and, or minutes, depending on how difficult it was. So architecture just kind of, it sounds boastful, but it came kind of natural. How do things fit together? How do things fit on a piece of property? How do you reconcile what a husband wants in a home and a wife wants in a home and what they need for their family in a home? This is a puzzle to me. And then putting that into a 3-dimensional thing is just an enjoyable puzzle. I tell a lot of clients that when I meet with them. It's, they're bringing all the pieces to the puzzle. If you think of it like a jigsaw puzzle, and dump them on the table and let me put it together. I love putting it together. So there's no pressure on them to have it figured out. If they do, that's fine. If it comes half put together, it's fine. Or if they hardly even have a puzzle to put together, that's fine too. I enjoy all of it. And as a bonus on top of just enjoying that process, it's very rewarding. And I didn't realize this till after I had done it for a lot of years, but being able to meet people and get to know them and what's unique about them and their family, it's a friendship, it's a relationship you build, and then years later, seeing them again, their kids are older and they're living in the home that you designed, making memories there. Was just, unexpected blessing and joy to kind of say, hey, I was a part of making a home for that family. That's really, it was really unexpected and special. And so it's fun just driving around northern Michigan and after doing this for 23 years now, there's, quite a mark on northern Michigan with as far as homes and buildings that I've designed. So it's fun to drive around and say, oh yeah, that's one I did, when my kids were little. That's one I did last year, and there's people, enjoying that business that I designed, and it's fun to just see the fruits of your efforts years down the road, and to know that they'll be around for many years after I'm gone. Gives me a good feeling. That's why I do what I do. What got me interested in architecture is a personal experience I had actually on a missions trip with my father when he took me to Haiti for the first time through our church. That was my first missions trip, and Haiti was and is one of the poorest countries in the world. And yeah, that left a mark. I was 13 years old when I went, and it was very eye-opening to see how people lived, just different. It's a culture shock, number one. Number two, it's very poor. Number three, people are very joyful and welcoming and nice there. And it was just so different. So it just kind of ignited in me. I was like, I wish I could do something to help, kind of feeling, like a lot of people have when, they go on those sorts of trips. And, I was already somewhat interested in architecture. Just, it's one of those careers young kids think about, like, oh, I want to be a firefighter, an astronaut, or an architect. It's one of those big things that kids know about to say they want to do. And that was me. And going on that trip was kind of cemented that in my mind as the thing that I wanted to do. And I was like, I am good at this. I enjoy this sort of stuff. And I should say, even at 13, I was already starting to draw homes, like just for fun. So I knew I kind of liked the software, I liked the design process, what little of it I knew. So yeah, going on that trip really kind of cemented it in my heart and my mind, and kind of set me on a path of pursuing it. And I never gave up on that path. And yeah, I still enjoy it to this day. I think I'm very fortunate in that. In hindsight, I look back on that, and yeah, I kind of lucked out because it was a really good fit for me. And yeah, I could have done a lot of different things, but now having done architecture and design and working with people for 23 years in the building industry, and I still enjoy it to this day, I consider myself very fortunate, because that's not everybody's story. Yeah, it's a passion I still have to this day. I still enjoy traveling and seeing other people, and how they live, other cultures, how they build their homes. It's very different than here. I mean, even in the United States, it's very different. I like traveling around the United States just seeing how people build differently. It always piques my interest, but I still enjoy going on those missions trips to see and to help. Regarding Haiti, and after I'd started my own business, there was an earthquake, a big one in 2010, and there was significant damage to a church that we supported down there. And I went down 3 times and helped redesign the church and drew plans for it. I had to figure out how to draw in, American imperial standards and metric, because Haiti is an interesting place where everything is built. Everybody understands inches and feet in Haiti, but all the plans are in metric. So I had to draw it both ways. So that was fun. And it was fun to actually kind of come full circle, having been there and, wanting to help, to then actually being able to go there and do something that I enjoyed that could actually help them in a way that they, probably could have found somebody else to do, but I was able to be that person for them. So that was really special too. I've always enjoyed technology, and so part of my mission in the design realm or in the home design realm is to always challenge myself to be at the cutting edge of technology, to always be presenting my clients with the best presentation, the best product we possibly can. I learned through the years that you can easily get left behind if you don't stay current and relevant with building trends and building sciences and technology and how you present your designs, how you think about design, what's going on in the world. So I always strive to be relevant, and like I say, at the cutting edge of technology, just to present to my clients the best that there is available. Yeah, one of the kind of guiding principles that I have for Norris Design Productions is to be a holistic and all-encompassing design service for our clients. I've always had that desire from the very beginning, because a lot of early complaints I got from clients that were coming from other designers or architects was how they understood this part of the process and project, and they did a really good job listening at the beginning but not at the end, and I had to go somewhere else to finish the drawing, or we had to work with a interior designer and the architect and a structural engineer, and nobody knew what anybody else was doing. It was just like, it was like that would be frustrating. That'd be frustrating for me. I wanted to do, so I just kind of decided early on, I wanted to try and be a place where someone could come and not have to go anywhere else and get all their needs met in one place. And that's tough, because you kind of have to be a master of all of that. Jack of all trades, master of none, but we've got to be jack of all trades, master of all, or we lose credibility real quick. So I'm really fortunate to have a good, team of people around me to help, keep that bar high. And yeah, to this day, we do all of our drafting in CAD. I still draft a little bit by hand just to do concept sketches for people. Just to kind of get ideas on paper and pull together all of the ideas that are floating up in the ether of their imaginations. But then it goes right into the computer. We do everything in 3D. We do all the interior design. We do all the structural engineering. We do all the visualizations, pricing drawings, everything needed for permits is here. And yeah, I'm quite proud of that. One of the projects that stands out the most in my memory from recent projects was a timber frame, as it happens, a modern timber frame on a bluff overlooking Lake Michigan. And it was a really challenging site. Steep driveway up, ridge, steep driveway, or steep hill down on the backside. Not a lot of flat land to build on, and we found a nice gradual way to get the driveway up there, which didn't leave much room for the house. And we ended up building the timber frame as a cantilevered system over the bluff. And it turned into this beautiful house that really blended very naturally with the environment and use the topography as, in keeping, in tandem with the design, as all good design should be, in my opinion. And took advantage of the views. And it was one of those projects where everything just comes together, and at the end you're like, oh yeah, that worked out well. From a really challenging initial a conception to something that was really quite special and unique. Yeah, that stands out. The memorable projects are ones like that, where people are nice, they enjoy the design process, and they enjoy being creative, and they enjoy just making everything work well together, being very harmonious. Those are the projects that are the most fun. Yeah, there's a lot that aren't that way too. Yeah, I could give you a dissertation on how not to design a house and how not to think about the design process, because there's so many misconceptions out there. I don't really ever blame my clients for being like problem clients. Like, I only have good clients. But I have a lot of clients that are very misinformed about how design works. So there's a certain amount of re-education that we have to do, and doing a custom home, because there's lots of cookie cutter homes out there. And there's lots of things, in media that tell people this is what the process is like. And yeah, sometimes it takes a little effort to say, okay, that's not how this works. This is a fun and enjoyable process. It takes time. It should be intentional. It should take time. And it's ultimately very, very rewarding. But yeah, the things that I most often have to re-educate my clients on is just the number of decisions that need to be made when designing a home. Not to diminish what a builder does, but when a builder builds a home, he has a plan. It's there. He has to build it, and there's still a lot of decisions to make. When you come to a designer to design a home, there is nothing. You have a blank piece of paper and a conversation, and you got to give birth to this house through that. And sometimes it comes, you get a vision and it comes quickly. Sometimes it takes time. And there are just so many decisions to make. And every decision is connected to 10 other decisions. That's something else people don't get. And it's just, you got to be patient with the process. It'll be so much more enjoyable. Some people don't have time. Some people are just in a bind, and they've already started their project, and then something happens to their designer, and then they come to me like, help. And that's understandable. And some people are just in a rush. And like I say, I don't have any bad clients. But yeah, if I could give one piece of advice to people that have made the design and build process stressful, is rushing decisions and not being sure about what you're doing, and taking the time to be intentional about those decisions. That's also partly what led me to try and do everything in-house, so that all the decisions can be here. And so when you leave Norris Design with a set of prints, that's what you like. That's what you're going to like when it's done. And most of the decisions have already been made, so that there are as few surprises as possible when you're actually building it. My greatest, I don't know, I wouldn't say my greatest, but one of the best feelings I have is when one of the best feelings I have in this career designing homes is when a client sends me a photo of their house after it's built and they've been living in it, and then they'll send me back a rendering that I had sent of them, of the photo that they just took compared to my rendering. And they'll shoot me a little note, oh, it looks just like your renderings. That's a huge compliment for me, it just makes me feel so happy. And when they say, "Oh, we just love our house, and look, it looks just like you drew it," I said, "Yeah, it does." And I'm glad you like it too. Because it's hard for a lot of people. That's why there's designers exist, because a lot of people don't. Even after showing people rendering, some people would be like, "Well, what's it really going to look like?" I'm like, "Here's the rendering I'm showing you right now. This is what it's going to look like." And a lot of people don't get that till after they've moved in, and I stand back and look at it and look at the rendering, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it does look like this." And so yeah, I strive for that with every project, so that when they walk in, the worst thing in the world is, and I've had a few clients tell me this with other homes they had designed in the past. Either the architect didn't listen, or the builder didn't listen, or everything was picked for them and then built, and they got there and it was wrong, and it's like, well, what do we do? Do we sue somebody because they did something wrong, or do we just suck it up and live with it? That's the worst feeling in the world for homeowners. So if I can provide all of that information on a set of plans, so that when you walk in and you say, "This is exactly what I was expecting," that's a good feeling, as opposed to walking in when it's framed up and being like, "Oh, so that's what it's going to look like." That's not a feeling you want to have. So yeah, when clients send me back photos of their home and let me know they're really happy with it, and they say, "Oh, and by the way, it looks just like the way you drew," that's a good feeling. So a piece of advice I would give to someone that's looking to have their home designed and built, a custom home, is to be ready to make a lot of decisions. I think that's one of the things that catches people off guard the most, is just the sheer volume of decisions that need to be made. And done in the right order and over the right amount of time, it can be very fun and very rewarding, because in many cases, you're building your dream home, or a home that you'll be in for a long time. And even if it's an investment home, something you're flipping or something you're building to rent, there's still a lot of decisions that are important to make for other reasons. So yeah, come with an open mind and a certain level of flexibility. You can think that you've made a lot of decisions up front, and I guarantee you have not made even 10% of the decisions that will need to be made. But through the design process that we try to guide people through, there will be a certain number of decisions that will be made at the beginning, and the middle, and the end, and then you'll continue to make decisions through the build process too. So there's no pressure to have all the things figured out all up front either. That can be very overwhelming for clients to think, "Oh, I can't talk to them until," them being the designer, "until I have everything all figured out." Well, no, you can bring what you've got, but come earlier rather than later, because everybody's busy, and yeah, this process takes some time. So you can never come too soon. A good house plan never expires. If it's done right, it's timeless. And if it's done right, it's done for you. And yeah, life changes, but again, a good design is designed for those changes. It's designed to fit you for the years to come. So you can never really design a home too early. And when you get to take that time to make all of those important decisions, it's so much fun.